I've known Nick for a long time. He's a competitor. He's a great hitter, a great baseball player.
And he's doing it kind of with everything. He's got, there's a couple home runs mixed in. There's singles. He's battling deep in counts at times, even with 2 strikes, and still coming up with hits.
I mean, he can offer anyone in this clubhouse pointers about hitting. He's been through everything. He's been here for 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is. And he's just someone to look up to for anyone, really.
Last night, Detroit Tiger Nicholas Castellanos inducted into the Western Michigan Whitecaps Hall of Fame. Spent there in 2011 with the Whitecaps, hit .312, was a Midwest League All-Star, and he gets honored for his time as a member of the Whitecaps. And Nicholas Castellanos of the Detroit Tigers joins us now here on Hot Stove. Nicholas, the honor last night, what do you recall about your time in the minors and how it helped you and how it impacted your major league career?
I mean, some of my best stories in baseball are in the minor leagues. Obviously, everybody, wants to play in the big leagues, and there's no place that you'd rather play. But, there's some amazing friendships that is formed, driving across the country at 3 in the morning and on that bus. So, it's kind of just my first time playing baseball away from my parents, learning how to deal with failures on my own instead of, just listening to my dad about everything that I did wrong, and kind of becoming my own person.
I'm watching video now of you playing for the Whitecaps back then. I'm glad you changed your jog on the homers.
Well, and every time that I hit a homer when I was with the Whitecaps, I was like, oh, my God, I hit a homer.
I had to bust on you on that. Hey, no, what's so funny is those times in A-ball and different things like that, did you guys have morning workouts and then play games at night, or what did you do different to continue that development?
Well, in what are you talking about, workouts like as in the gym workouts or workouts?
No, I mean like hitting,
practice
like team practices and stuff like that.
Well, we had infield, outfield, pretty much every day. We had a list of the guys who they wanted to have hit early. Whether or not you were doing good or bad was irrelevant. There was a lot more mandatory work because they just wanted to make sure that they were instilling a work ethic in us as young kids so we can carry it over to the big leagues. Because, I mean, Harold, like when you get to the big leagues, it's your career. If you want to go and you want to hit early, you can go hit early. If you want to show up 10 minutes before stretch, you can go right ahead. No one's going to be, breathing down your neck saying you have to.
Yeah, so you got to develop that on your own, and having a program like that in the minor leagues is how guys get to the big leagues and stick around. Talking about work ethic, you've had some great hitters in Detroit to be around. Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, J.D. when he was there. Your swing is very similar. And going back and looking at that minor league video, you had that swing to right field anyway. So how did Miggy, Victor, and watching J.D. and those guys really help craft your swing and even take you to another level?
Well, when I was in trouble, when I would get in trouble is when I would try to copy. Because when I'm trying to copy is I'm not being my genuine self. And that's when I would run into problems. That's when I struggled my rookie year. Well, I mean, not struggled, but, I didn't have the year that I really wanted to. My second year also. More my third year was when I started coming into my own and I started doing things my way. But what I did take from hitting with Miggy and Victor and JD is the different personalities that goes into being a hitter. So you have Victor Martinez. Victor Martinez is a walking computer, meaning that he always has his iPad. He's always studying pitchers. He's always studying pitch sequences. He's always playing chess with the pitcher. Then you have JD. And JD is a walking ball of mechanics. So now you have JD who goes from city to city with an extra bag of all of these tools that he has to help him perfect his swing. So much so that, like, even in between innings, every inning he's going down in the cage and working on his mechanics because he wants his mechanics so perfectly sound. And last but not least, you have Miguel Cabrera. And Miguel Cabrera has no idea what he's doing. But he's so good at it. He's the one who plays Candy Crush during our hitters meetings. He's the one that looks up on the TV and goes, "Oh, this guy's pitching today," and goes out and has so much trust in his ability and just goes out and does it.
How you know, is there a little part of you when Miggy, you know, is playing Candy Crush and does say, oh, this guy's pitching, is there a little part of you that says, you know what, this guy?
Well, what's crazy, you know, guys, is always growing up, that's more of the kind of guy that I was. You know, I was never a guy that hit extra. I was never, you know, I remember being a teenager and all of my minor league coordinators telling me that I had to go hit in the cage. And be like, why do I got to go hit in the cage? Like, I know how to hit, you know? Like, you don't stress about riding a bike, you know? But I think some people get too caught up in looking at hitting as work instead of looking at hitting as just something you know how to do. You know, there's so many times that you go and you hit an inside fastball and you're like, man, like, how did I hit that? You know, you can logically try to explain it after the fact, but in the moment, you're kind of just doing your thing.
Man, I love how you know exactly about all three of those guys. And my question, where do you fall in? You know, because I played with Griffey, and he was a guy who'd come back and go, what'd you hit, Ken? The baseball. I don't know. Like, come on. So where does Nick fall in this category?
I think my personality is more along the lines of those kind of guys. Now, I'm not saying that I am, you know, those kind of guys, but I think a big reason my learning curve in the big leagues was understanding that I didn't have to copy everybody else and go and hit in the cage like everybody else, you know, or hit early like everybody else to go and hit, you know, and I got to the big leagues at 21, and if you got Torrey Hunter or, you know, Brad Osmus saying like, you need to go hit early, you need to go do this, and you have your hitting coaches trying to tell you to make adjustments here and make adjustments there, now all of a sudden you just complicated riding a bike.
I love it, man. 272, 26, and 101. So we're going to build on that because you just need to sit in that meeting and get a crossword puzzle or something.
Yeah, get that Candy Crush going. Hey, Nicholas,
exactly.
you're starting the winter caravan for the Detroit Tigers. This is a team that has undergone some changes, some departures. Ron Gardenhire is your new manager. It seems to be a little bit of a transition right now for your team. What are your thoughts on where this team is and specifically where you fit in this transition?
Well, you know, obviously with the best team on paper, we have Candelario in our lineup, hands down. You know, that kid can play. He can put the barrel on the ball. He can play some defense. You know, he's a very hard worker, and he wants to win. And, you know, obviously that pushes me to right field. I don't care where I play on the field. You know, to be honest, like if you look at my offensive numbers when I went to the outfield, it was a lot more relaxing to play right than it was to play third. And to be able to just be relaxed the whole game helped me a lot at the plate. And, you know, I like it. So this whole offseason, all I did was gear all of my training to becoming more athletic, to running down stuff, to start solidifying my throwing mechanics in the outfield. And I think my arm plays better out there, and I think, you know, my speed plays better out there.
So I'm going to end you with this. Where does JD end up?
Oh, that I don't know. I mean, I'm so disconnected from the baseball world in the off season. I've heard rumors that are 8 years, $200 million, and all of this stuff. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, JD is a phenomenal bat, and any team would be lucky to have him in their lineup. And wherever he ends up is going to be a perfect fit because that's the team that wants him the most.
Nicholas, we appreciate the time. Really good insight on the art of hitting. We appreciate the time and enjoy the rest of the off season.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, guys.
You know your stuff, young man. That's awesome. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
I'm just faking it.
Yeah. Well, keep faking it then, because you got it.